We saw that after the Tzimtzum Harishon Ba'er Ein Sof. What Shahoya B'Tchila, we saw that the Er Ein Sof was Mamale, what we call the Mochim Ponui, and the Mochim Shel Amidus or Elamas. And after the Tzimtzum, when there occurred basically the vacuum, the Mochim Ponui, in which it now became possible, the Inyan of the Hisavos or Elamas, the Yesh Miyayin from the Eibishter. So then there was Nimshach, the Eibishter was Megala on Mamshich at Kav Mutzumtzam. And we saw that the Inyan of that Kav was the Mishka Mido or Mishkal. And even though Chas V'Sholem we don't mean the concept of Mido or Mishkal, Lamaila. Now we mean the Inyan from Mido, meaning the concept of Gavul and limitation and Hakbola, and we saw that Mishkol is like the Inyan that even within one sphere, how much more so within the different spheres and the different elements, one to the other, different levels of Gilui of the Ein Sof, different forms and intensities of Gilui. And so we saw that was all according to the Oifen of the Eilemas, what we'll see later on, that means according to the demands of the different Kalim, the different receivers and the different vessels, literally of all the different Eilemas, Sheyuchlu Lekabel, that they should be able to receive, because if the Er Ein Sof would be Meir, like it was, prior to the Inyan of the Tzimtzum, then there wouldn't be any possibility for any Makabel or any Oilam or Kli to be Makabel. And therefore there had to be the withdrawal of the light, which was the Tzimtzum, and then afterwards the reappearance of the light in the form of a limited and literally weighed or judged Kav. I put down at the beginning of the great work of the Arizal, but that's the eight Chaim, it's well known that the different works of the which are related to the Arizal, even though they're not from him because he didn't write anything, they're all written by the Rabbeinu Chaim Vital. So he wrote the famous work called the Eight Chaim, but that describes the whole Seder HaYishtalshelos. It's a very massive and major work in the description of the Kabbalah of the Arizal, when they go to all the Eilemas and all the different forms of the Gila, the Akusin Eilemas, and the Inyan of the Eilemas prior to Atzilus and then Atzilus, and then the Eilemas after Atzilus, the Eilemas of the created worlds of Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, and all those Inyanim. Those are all included in the general work called the Eight Chaim. So at the beginning of the Eight Chaim, well, there are two beginnings. So it's like a general beginning called the Shara Klolim. Then there's a more specific opening to the whole work. That's what he means here in the beginning of the actual text of the Eight Chaim per se. So it's divided into literally branches, which is called Eight Chaim. So that it's divided into like sections or chapters, which at that particular point are called branches. And then later on it divides up into gateways and chapters and other inyanim as it goes along. So at the end of, at the beginning of the main entrance into the Eight Chaim, at the end of what's called branch 2, branch base, over there he writes that the whole inyan, branch Gimel, he sums up the whole concept of the Kav as bringing about this concept of Mido Mishkal, in order we should be able to have Oilamas, the Klal, and that the Oilamas should be able to be Makabel, because had the Oil Ein Sof been Meir like it was, then there wouldn't be any room, there was no possibility for anything to be Makabel, because it would all just be Batil and absorbed in the Ein Sof. Thanks. Good. Klolas Indian Akav, and the generality of this whole Indian of the Kav, Ulasis Milo Umato, but Kamishkoso be a time the Onof Bait, and it's an Onof before the Onof which we just mentioned. He said the generality of the concept of the Kav is to bring about the possibility that there should be a higher level and a lower level. Milo Umata, that abbreviation makes Milo Umata, as it's written in the same area over there, but in a previous branch, slightly previous to that other one that we just mentioned, which is the Anaf Gimel. If you don't mind, put on your leg, I don't like to pull it out. I don't think I'm putting it on glasses. Yeah, but Chilas is soft Anaf Gimel. I'm sorry, Anaf Beit. Ubamove Shiorim, and not only in the Eitz Chaim Anaf Beit, but in another Sefer, which belongs to the same set, written by the Rabbeinu Chaim Vital. He was tremendously many in his Sforim. He wrote these unbelievable Sforim one after the other. So he wrote a big Sefer called the Movei Shiorim. Literally the much called the interruption to all the introduction to all the gates. Movei Shiorim. It's a separate work altogether, and that's divided into gateways, because it's called the gateway, the lead into the gateways. Shar Aleph Perik Beis, right near the beginning of that work. Bariches, that he writes over there at considerable length. Im hoyu meya me'erin seif shaloy alei akav, hoyu kolo elemes b'shover. He said that if the Eibishter had literally shined forth, not through this concept of this kav that we call this line, then all of the worlds would have been equal. In other words, there would have been worlds, but they would have been all on the same level. And therefore, Kav, therefore the Eibishter caused that to be to reveal the Kav, in order that there should be this concept of above and below, higher and lower. The Oisha Ha'ilon Shemikavel Me'alyoinei Shel HaKav Hadovuk Be'eretz Seif Hu B'chinas Maila. It's got in itself a higher state. Shemeya Boi Gile Eretz Seif Yoiser Kol Ma Shenimshach Yoiser Midveikusei Be'eretz Seif Mismaet Ho'er Hu B'chinas Mato. In other words, what are the differences and what leads to Maila and what is called Maila? The Kav originally is Dovuk in the Eretz Seif, and as it goes down literally, then it depreciates, or I might call it, lessens in the Gili of the Eretz Seif. And therefore, as you go down, there's the higher Olam, which is closer to the beginning of the Kav, and has a greater revelation of the Eretz Seif. It's called Maila. Else, as it is derived further downwards from that Devekis that it had in the Eretz, so from that cleavage to the Eretz Seif, then the oil literally lessens, mismaet, and that's called Mata. In other words, more Gilead Seif is Maila, less Gilead Seif is Mata. But here we see the secret to the whole Ina. That he says that there's a Elyoinei Shel Kav, which is Dovuk, which is literally cloven into the Eretz Seif, and that's what makes Maila. But that which is Nimshach, from further downwards, from that Devekis, from that cleavage in the Eretz Seif, it becomes lessened and it becomes therefore Mata. So if we look carefully over there, both in the Movei Shiorim and in that particular Anaf Beit of the Eitz Chaim, then they make the point, which is literally the key to understanding this little slightly magic box here, where he's talking about the union of Milo Mati in the derivation of that Kav. And he describes it as being Dovuk Be'elyoinoi Shel Kav in the Eretz Seif, and then as it goes down, then it's not so dovuk in the alien of where the kav is dovuk, therefore it's less. So we see over there, he brings over there, and both in the Eitz Chaim and the Movishorim, he brings the famous little diagram which you may have all seen. And that is that he draws a simple circle, and then inside the circle he's just got a cow coming from the top down into the circle, a straight line from the top down over the top of the circle, down into the circle, but it doesn't reach the bottom of the circle. It just goes down into the circle and then finishes at any given point inside the what do you call the circumference of the circle. So that means that the cow is cloven to the circle at the top, but it is not cloven to the circle at the bottom. And that is the secret to the whole thing. In other words, that everything outside that circle is what's called the Ein Sof. That's the Ein Sof, what the Eibishter was made prior to the whole Tzimtzum, and that's the simplicity of the Ein Sof, and it is absolutely Ein Sof, and all of the possible descriptive terminologies that we could find, infinite, absolutely simple, and absolutely all the possible descriptive terms. So what the Tzimtzum did was cause literally, once again, not to form any Gashmistic ideas here, it caused literally a circle. It withdrew in a circular form. And so the Ein Sof now is all sort of surrounding, like based on a circular, like the circumference, around this cavity. And this cavity has now become like a vacuum with the revelation of the Ein Sof. So what the Eibusher does now is he reveals into that cavity, from the Ein Sof, and we saw yesterday, not exactly the Ein Sof the way it is, but a ha'ora b'bak. Well, I don't know, didn't learn yesterday, but from Sunday. But we trust that everybody remembers it imminently from one class to the other. Upon him that it goes down into the cavity, and it only goes down into the cavity, but doesn't reach the other end of the circle. Now it's obvious why it can't do that, because if it reached down and went and joined up with the circle at the bottom, then it couldn't really be a cow, because it would be joined up to the Ein Sof, both at the top and the bottom, so it would be just involved into the Ein Sof. It would never really be able to form what we call Maila or Mato. Since it doesn't go down and join up at the end, it's only at one end, the higher point, that it's joined up to the Ein Sof. But that's the secret of Maila or Mato, meaning as it goes down, then it's less joined. The further you go down, the less you are close to the joining point. So those that are mamish close to the joining point, and they get a closeness to the Ein Sof, which means that more Ein Sof is mitgalet to them than it is as you go further down. In other words, that the cow is made in such a way that he goes from level to level. He goes literally further down, in the sense that the closer you are, the more you have gilui in the cow. The further you go down, the less you have. And that's why he was to touch again at the bottom, you wouldn't be able to have it, because he would just reabsorb into the Ein Sof, because then you wouldn't be able to have this whole Seder of him going from level to level, status-wise, as we go downward. So that's the secret. What the Eitz Chaim says over there, the Movishorim, that he's what we call the beginning of the concept of Maila or Mato. And the unit of Maila Mato is measured by the closeness to the dvekas of the kav in the Ein Sof outside the circle, embodied in the circle. And the closer you're there, the more you have literally from the circle, embodied in the circle. As you go in, you go further away literally. And going further away means literally that you're getting less revelation. In other words, you're going step by step downwards.
And you're getting less and less, but nevertheless you're still getting closer to the other side of the circle.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything, because you're never going to touch it.
Even
So the fact that you get closer doesn't mean anything. Because what it means is that when we say that the Elyon is Yesa, the one in the middle, then it means that the descent is a going down one, which means that the further you go down in the curve, then the less you've got revelation. You follow? So it doesn't matter how close you get to the other side, as long as you don't touch it, you don't feel it.
So
you're getting less and less awareness of that. You understand? But if the cow were to bang into back in, then it would be full from both sides, and then it would be difficult to have this whole concept of Mailoma. So it doesn't really matter how far you go into the circle. That's not. If I didn't make a big issue out of that. The Nakuda is that as you go down, you're literally lessening your connection with the Tada Elyon. And so since you're lessening your connection, therefore, as you go down, you get less revelation of the original oil. And therefore, that's called Mato, and we got more revelation, more closeness to the Elyon of the cow, and therefore more closeness to the original oil. And therefore, you have more literally revelation, and that's called Mila. And that's called Mila, and that's called Mato. So that's the Nakuda of the cow. In other words,
so if the creation is just a reflection of a reflection,
we didn't get to creation yet.
Oh,
we didn't get to creation.
So the cow is not creation?
The cow is not the creation. No, the cow is not the creation yet. The creation only after Malchus Tatzilas. That's really quite a way down in the cow, according to the Alter Rebbe and the Arizal and other places, at the end of the cow.
So what is the cow then?
So the cow is Gila Alakus into the Olamas, but not Begolui for him in the latter three Olamas, Bria Tzidavasiya. It's already in the cow, Bukwa Helam, when I get to those three Olamas.
So it's not a creation, it's not something that Hashem made.
Right. Excuse me, are you reading something now?
This is the map.
Huh? Where did you get this map?
From Rabbi Wurzburg.
Who?
Rabbi Wurzburg in Hadar Torah.
Oh, yes, what's it?
It helps me understand what's going on, or at least try to.
No. No, it's not that. Well, it's not really, not really together in your name. Omamela. That's the whole concept is that that's what he goes on now to say. If we read what he reads now, he brings now a little bit further, we'll be able to understand what the concept of the cow is achieving. We'll still come to the creation. Don't worry about it. We'll get to the creation. And therefore, he says that the Inyan Milo Mata is now the closeness to the cow, and Mamela the Gila Kushaboi, or the lessness of the closeness to the Bachinus and Yaina of the cow. And therefore, that's called Mata. Who, says the Rebbe, the whole Sphira Usphira. The truth is not just from one oilam to the other, but even in every sphira, you got the high aspect of that sphira, which is called the Chochma Shaboy, then you got Bina Shabbat, and then you got the Chesed, the Gura, and the Feras. They're already midas, but midas are not better to the Ina for Chochma. So that means that within every sphira, you've got this Yurida, and this descent. You've got the Tada Maila and the Tada Amata. And that's also Alidei Hakal, or even Giluyov, the whole Sphira or Sphira. And that depends on the Gilu of the cow in every Sphira. In other words, everything is dependent on this cow. According to the way it gives forth its revelation in any detail, well, that's what that detail will have. Either it will be more elevated or less elevated, or it will be in a form of moichin, what moichin are more revelation, or it will be in a form of midas, or in a form of meta, etc., etc., each of which has more open gilui divinity or less. And so it's common to every detail in the whole Seder of the Olam. Not that the Olam is one to the other, but every detail in the Olam has its own level. And that's all determined by this count. In other words, that the count determines how much Gilui Elokus there will be in every step on the way as it went down.
Is the Kav the Devar Hashem that's sustaining the world at every moment?
Huh?
Yeah,
but we didn't get that far yet.
Oh, okay.
Here it's the same side of it. We didn't get that far yet. אומר לי זה בכל מה שנמשך יויסה מדבי כוסי בערי ישראל. בכל על ידי הקו, ואיפן גילוי בכל ספירה וספירה. וכמיש כוסו במובי שיעורים